All right, you guys want to talk about this Daily Wire clip?
Yeah, let's play Matt Walsh.
Matt Walsh has a take on sexism.
Reported by The Hill. It says the Senate Armed Services Committee has approved language in its annual defense policy bill that would require women to register for the draft. The National Defense Authorization Act, approved by the committee behind closed doors on Wednesday, amends the Military Service Act to require registration of women for selective service, according to a summary released on Thursday. Now, a few things we should say right off the bat. First of all, there obviously is no draft right now, and it might seem sort of far-fetched that there will ever be another draft again. Then again, a war with China, if that's where we're headed ultimately, may well require it. Either way, whether the draft is ever reinstated or not, it says something about our country that women are forced to sign up for it. And it doesn't say anything good.
Why?
It is immoral and absurd and a disgrace for a nation to draft its daughters into combat.
Yeah.
So, like, the way he says it's moral, it's a disgrace, all that stuff, like, you can always... The way reactionaries use adjectives when they're, like, failing in an argument. Because clearly he can't use one of those because he'd have to argue why it's morally wrong to put women in war fighting. And I don't know how that argument could go, but we could guess, like... to say that you could maybe use it to say all war fighting is immoral.
Yeah, it might beg the larger question of war's morality if we're talking about if war is too woke at this point because it includes women in it. But continue.
Men are supposed to protect women from things like that. That's the job of men. In fact, men go over to fight these battles precisely so that the women and children don't have to experience the violence and the horror.
Pause it.
That's the whole point.
No, it's not the whole point. The whole point is to further our imperialist interests and to ensure U.S. hegemony globally. The idea that a woman doesn't know how to press some buttons on these war machines that we have. I'm not trying to disparage anybody in the military, but like, we're not doing hand-to-hand Krav Maga in Iraq with like a 320-pound dude.
I mean, look,
it's gonna be fine.
I'm 6'2", like 170. So not a huge guy, but tall enough. And I thought about joining the Marines. And then you look at like, frankly, like the idea that a woman couldn't train herself to the point where you could even like carry like the heavy combat stuff and like fire the gun is just ridiculous. I mean, what point is having the Olympics for not realizing that like actually they're capable of physical excellence too? We just don't socialize them toward that.
And what the hell is this continued women and children narrative? Are we in 1912?
Well, he is, yeah.
I guess he is. I mean, that's offensive in and of itself to protect women and children, looping them in. I guess we're on the board of the Titanic right now, but I guess let's take a listen to this.
If you're going to just send your daughters in anyway, then what's the point? Now, my daughters will certainly not be signing up. I would go to prison before I'd ship them off to go fight in any war, that's for sure.
Okay.
So that is one law, if it is signed into law, that I will.
So, like, look at how demented that is. I'll go to prison to make sure my daughters don't go to war. But I'll be proud as hell if my sons die for war. What? Like, okay, so your ballast is just gender roles, not the murder of people? That's not the number one thing that's driving your morality?
He's really harping on the gender thing because I think that makes the most intuitive sense to his sort of audience. Like, I couldn't be in a foxhole next to a woman. But really, like, there's a larger project going on with the right and the military with regards to critical race theory particularly. And this is all that sort of thing. Like, we're moving away from war fighting prowess to like go soft or something like that, which is why also these people aren't allies in terms of getting rid of the anti-war because they want war to be like just like roided up white guys shooting guns into civilian tents, basically.
All right, we'll finish this off.
happily disobey. And I can take that position without self-contradiction because I don't believe that men and women are equal, and I don't believe that they should have all the same roles or responsibilities in society. I've been very consistent about that for years. There's nothing that could ever make me abandon my stance on that issue. I would rather be dead than ever affirm the insane modern notion that there is no fundamental difference between men and women. I would prefer death over that. That's how strongly I feel about it.
Yes. We know you'd rather be dead than adapt. So you would actually not do well in warfare. Right? Like, you saying you'd rather be dead than adjust your perspective on something that, by the way, has been thrown in your face for decades at this point. Matt Walsh is not that old. Equality has been a popular notion for quite a while. If he's not adaptable to that notion, perhaps he wouldn't be adaptable in any situation. I certainly wouldn't want him in my foxhole. I would sooner die. I would go to jail before I had Matt Walsh fighting alongside me.
I would be terrified to look up after, like a concussion from an artillery hit or something, and to look up and see the guy right next to me that I'm depending on, to pass ammunition or something, is that freak. Honestly. I mean, he wouldn't, I don't know, not that I have the greatest eyesight in the world, but I just think, there's probably a lot of things that preclude Matt from being a good soldier, so now he needs to talk tough in some sort of Ben Shapiro basement.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing, though. At least... Yeah, right, in Ben Shapiro basement. Ben Shapiro's never offered to enlist or fight for anything, really. He just wants other people to kill Palestinians and Muslim civilians on behalf of his own ends. But I don't know who I'd rather actually have fight alongside me. That little Ben Shapiro squeak.
Oh no, if I see either of those guys on my side, I'm deserting to the other side.
Oh yeah.
I don't care if I have to cross no man's land or not. I'm taking my chances.
Yeah, you're just right. I love how in this scenario we're essentially in World War I trench warfare. We have to get the tranche or the tranche into the conversation when Sam's on in the studio. Yeah, dude. I mean, admitting that you don't think women and men are equal.
What a tough guy. Wow.
Yeah. What'd you say?
Matt Walsh's at Gallipoli was the...
oh, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I mean... Imagine Matt Walsh parachuting.
I would like to see Matt Walsh do, one fucking, run with a bag on, basically. Run 2 miles with a full kit. That's not happening.
I would love it if we could figure out a way to do, a left versus Daily Wire basketball tournament. And I want to check Matt Walsh. I got Matt Walsh all game.
I'd love to carry military equipment across a plane in competition with Matt Walsh.
I think that would be a really cool sort of reality show that the Daily Wire could do, where all the Daily Wire guys go to a boot camp together and try and do military training. I think that'd be hilarious.
I think so too. They'd never do it, though, because of the reasons we'd find it hilarious.
Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.